Well, here we are, my first ever video game review. And with the way that I've been relentlessly chugging down liters upon liters of Apex Legends gameplay, I can't think of a better game to start with. This game has gotten me hooked! And to think I had some reservations about playing a BR game due to the fear of long periods of looting and not enough action. I regret not answering the call from my peoples, shout out Slink Skywalker and Lottograms, for not diving into this game 2 years ago, because I've robbed myself of a unique experience that I'm glad I'm having now. The only shooter franchise I've extensively played throughout my life is Halo, so I think that narrow experience pool makes the differences in Apex stand out a bit more. I've also played a decent amount of Fortnite and Warzone 2 to make some comparisons there as well, along with a small amount of COD from 2009 to 2012. So I can't really properly convey how unique the gameplay for Apex is in comparison to most shooters, but I can damn sure tell you how I personally feel about the nuances of its gameplay. And I'm also going to talk about content and user interface. With that being said, allow me to tell you my story from the Outlands. And we're going to dive straight into the goods here, the gameplay. Let me preface this by saying that I am nowhere near a god in this game, as the highest I've reached in rank is actually a measly Gold 2. The purpose of this video is not to create the misconception that I'm goated, but simply to explore all the aspects of a game I've become extremely invested in. As a matter of fact, a good side effect of making this video is that I get to properly put in words some of the reasons why I'm so bad at the game. Of course, these lessons will be easier said than applied, but regardless, I personally find the nuances to Apex's gameplay to be interesting and foreign, as I'm not used to a lot of its aspects, how each of them are important to the game as a whole, and how they all connect with each other. For this section, we'll mainly be talking about the Battle Royale mode, as that is the main mode for Apex. I'll start with a brief summary of the game for those that may be new. Apex Legends is a team-based battle royale game where each character, or legend, occupies an in-game role in one of 5 classes and has a unique set of abilities that both make each individual legend stand out and create unique combinations with other legends that, when combined with the map and drop location, form strategies for each match. Duos is only available for social, but Trios is available for pubs and ranked, probably due to the game being specifically designed for Trios. With that out of the way, I want to get to some of the things with Apex's combat that caught me off guard on entry and that I still struggle with to this day. Before we talk about the maps, characters, classes, or go into details about the guns, the immediate difference I notice about Apex from any other shooter is that every micro decision you make in this game can be the difference between life and death. From my experience, besides my overall lack of experience and some stupid decisions on my part, like forgetting to reload my gun after a fight, forgetting to heal, forgetting that if you equip Sheila after you holster a gun, you will not have your guns out once you put Sheila away, pressing the ADS button and accidentally canceling the charging animations for either the Sentinel or the Rampage, and forgetting that the game automatically switches your weapon whenever you completely run out of ammo for your previous weapon, prompting me to press the weapon switching button to send me back to the weapon with no ammo. The main 2 factors that give importance to every action in times of danger are the quick times to kill and the general length of every animation in the game. Reloading a gun, switching weapons, throwing out a tactical or ultimate ability, landing after falling from a great height, using healing items, and equipping and deploying a grenade or survival slot item all have animations long enough for you to be killed during, especially against the more OP weapons in the game. Adding to this, you can't slide immediately after sprinting, as there is a small time period the player must wait before they can initiate a slide. Pressing the slide button too early will result in the player either receiving a dead slide or unintentionally crouching, leaving them ripe for the pickings. You also cannot sprint out of ADS, and ADS also severely hampers your base movement, making it more challenging to peek corners, ledges, or doors without taking damage. The mantling mechanic can be a bit finicky as well, sometimes either preventing you from entering a fight on time to assist teammates or leaving you wide open for target practice. Lastly, the Havoc, Devotion, and especially Sheila have long startup times for their fire. The turbocharger hop-up can at least mitigate this for the Havoc and Devotion. When you consider these factors, it is imperative to not only get comfortable with your button setup, but to also play with a common sense that you only get by playing the game a lot. Because if you get caught lacking in this game, you are fucked. This ain't Halo, where a power weapon or well-placed grenade can win you a lopsided encounter. If you're in the line of sight and effective range of 2 or more enemies for a long enough period of time, which doesn't have to be long at all, chances are your stuff is going in the death box, especially if you get caught on one of these animations. That's not to say that 1v3s aren't winnable, it just takes the right movement, some good cover, great skill with the weapon, and the right decisions at the right time. Because one bad press of a button could get your ass whacked. Starting out, I really hated these mechanics because I'd always wind up dead quickly in a gunfight, and sometimes I still do. But I realized that I'm supposed to hate these mechanics because they add so much more purpose to every decision in a battle besides shooting. The fast kill times and long animations create an unforgiving environment that forces the player to up their awareness in order to improve at the game over time. You have to stick to teammates, play around cover, know the location of your enemies and any possible routes they can take to catch you off guard, and consider escape routes. This knowledge is important because any decision made ignorant of this information will likely cost you your life and or the game. It takes time and experience to do these things reactively in the game, so one must first master how to do things proactively, then ease into reaction over time. Every decision in this game I previously mentioned, and extending to looting, reviving and responding a teammate, and killing a downed opponent, must be made with conviction, because the chances of surviving after getting caught is slim to none. This, in my opinion, is the hardest aspect of Apex for new players to adapt to, especially for players that are inexperienced in shooter games. But if it's an aspect that you're willing to learn, then you're in for the ultimate thrill ride. The next aspect that threw me for a loop is the way the guns work. Halo's recoil patterns were so easy to control that I never paid attention to them. It'd mostly just jerk the gun up a few centimeters after every shot, then jerk the gun back down to the same spot. Some guns, like the Needler and Assault Rifle, felt like they had little to no recoil. The projectile speed for marksman rifles was always so fast that it felt like hit scan. It wasn't, but it felt like it was. Halo, and Splitgate for that matter, always felt so easy to aim in. Call of Duty has moderately easy aim as well, but focusing with the snipers is a bit of a challenge. And hip firing on Warzone 2 is wonderfully easy compared to Apex. Fortnite and Battlefield both have moderately challenging aiming systems, but there is absolutely no give in Apex Legends. This is the hardest time I've ever had aiming in any shooter, even with the heavy aim assist. This is for a few reasons. First, the projectile speed for every gun in this game is slower than what I'm used to, specifically the sniper and marksman rifles, meaning you have to lead your shots with every gun from mid to long range. This won't be much of a problem in close range, but then you've got to consider what guns you have and how to use them. In CQC, you likely want to have either a shotgun or an SMG. You still have to lead your shots a bit with shotguns. Even when you get to CQC, most guns in the game don't have serviceable hipfire aim. Now surprisingly, some of the marksman weapons in this game are easy to hipfire with in CQC, but they don't have the fastest kill times in that range, meaning you're likely to be outclassed by a shotgun or SMG. The shotguns have pretty good hipfire, but they can still be challenging because you have to pace and lead your shots. The rest of the guns don't really have good hipfire without laser sight attachments for SMGs. So ADS is very important in this game. For snipers and marksman rifles, one of my worst enemies in the shooter genre is present: bullet drop. Now I've only dealt with this in Battlefield, Fortnite, Warzone 2, and the skewer in Halo Infinite, and I never got used to it. So yeah, you have to lead your shots due to the projectile speed while leading your shots on the vertical axis to account for bullet dropping. And with the movement tech in this game, enemies can move pretty fast to make your aiming life a living hell. And you would think that using automatic weapons would be a bit easier, right? Wrong! This game has the most difficult aim I have ever dealt with in shooters concerning automatic weapons. Before Apex, I had never played a game where the recoil patterns for every gun go so far in a specific direction that you have to hold the right stick, I'm on PlayStation 5, in the opposite direction while aiming at an enemy to control the recoil, and even then, still miss some shots. I had no idea how to beam people from mid to long range with an AR until I looked up a video on YouTube about it and practiced it in the fire range. This is why most people recommend that noobs start out by using the main character, the go-to gun, the R301 Carbine, which has easily controllable recoil and is moderately effective at all ranges. Now, once you memorize the basic forms of the recoil patterns for each gun while practicing how to control them, things get a bit easier, as most of the guns go up, up left, or up right. But sometimes recoil patterns get patched, and you might wonder why you're missing shots. And then there's the Prowler's recoil path that changes directions after the extended magazine bullets kick in. But the Rampage and Devotion? What the fuck is this shit? So earlier I said that you'll likely want to be using an SMG or a shotgun in CQC, right? Well, while this is true, this doesn't mean that across the board, ease of use isn't a significant factor in the design of all the guns in Apex Legends. In fact, that's far from true. Not just because some of the hardest guns to use in this game have the fastest kill times, but because, well, just about every gun in the game is hard to use, for reasons I mentioned earlier. Practically any weapon in the game can be viable if you master it. The P2020, Devotion, and Spitfire are absolute dog water, but a skilled player can still win encounters with them. But Snake, what about the Mozambique? That's trash too. Man, if y'all start putting some respect on a Birdbeak's name, especially with the hammer points, that bitch is a monster. Y'all better start giving, quit playing with me. Quit playing with me, bro. This adds an extra thrill and sense of urgency to every encounter because you can never be overconfident. The outcome will likely come down to the skill of each individual and the cohesiveness of each team, unless you're up against a pussy-ass charge rifle. And a huge part of that is that every gun has at least a decent skill gap. But let me tell you, that skill gap goes by the name of Wingman. This pistol is the most diverse, nuanced gun in the game, as it is effective in every range, close, mid, and long, but the trade-off is that it is one of the two hardest guns to use in the game. Wing Nasty is an absolute beast, and if you come across a player who's highly skilled with it in a 1v1 encounter, chances are you're going in a death box, and there's practically not a damn thing you can do about it. Another high skill weapon is an SMG that will put your ass out of bidding faster than a PS1 did Sega. R99. The One Clip Wonder has the most recoil out of all the SMGs, but has the quickest kill time in the game if you can hit all your shots.
Oh, he's gonna try to hop you down. Oh, it definitely is.
To another team.
Yo, what?
But y'all playing with a different type of nigga. I thought y'all knew the whole time.
It can even one-clip enemies with red shields without an extended mag. The Flatline is an AR that hits harder than the R301, but the recoil is slightly harder to control. Once you master the recoil, then its time to kill can be pretty nuts. The same can be said for the Demigod tool. the Havoc, which has the hardest to control recoil out of any AR in the game, but can completely vaporize one or even two enemies within one clip. There's a reason why they call this gun the "Ah!" because that's the sound that the enemy player is likely screaming as they get knocked. The new Nemesis AR is hard to use in CQC from my experience, but the recoil is controllable enough that it can be a deadly marksman weapon, and it gets even deadlier when its fire rate is maximized over time. It's honestly kind of broken. The Triple Take is an excellent marksman rifle and a decent pseudo shotgun. The Hemlock is the true tool of destruction, as it can absolutely melt opponents from a distance. And the L-Star, while usually trash, is in the care package this season. And it's absolutely busted, with its recoil and projectile speed being the only thing to tip the scales. The pass-through of its bullets allows you to potentially shred an entire enemy team. I'm not going to go down the list of every weapon, but I definitely need to talk about the icon of the series. The clutch factor, the game saver, the content creator, the end-all be-all of Apex Legends, the one-punch gun, the God tool. Of course, I'm talking about the Kraber. This sniper is a 2-body shot kill and 1 headshot kill for all shield levels, and the bullet drop and travel time is the hardest to master for any gun in the game. Using the Kraber isn't just about winning, it's about making a statement, forging moments that will stand the test of time. It's about creating legends that will be passed down many generations for years to come, and marking your territory in the Apex games. When I think of the reasons why I play Apex Legends, the Kraber is at the top of that list just for its pure legendary status, and I'm not even good with it yet. I can have a perfectly good loadout, and if I come across this gun and none of my teammates want it, then one of my guns has got to go, just because of the amount of respect and reverence I have for the almighty Kraber.
Oh, I see some. Yep.
Taken wide, here comes the drill.
Oh! I hit her with that. She ain't got shit left. I'm chasing. Got her. I had to finish that off. Yeah, that's a clip.
Oh, and the last thing I'll say in this section is that with the exception of the Nemesis, all the guns come from the Titanfall series. Apex is set in the future of Titanfall. I've never played Titanfall, I just thought that would be an interesting tidbit to include for new players. That just about wraps up most of the aspects that gave me a hard time that I didn't see coming. Now I'm going to talk about the aspect of skill that was blatantly obvious. Characters. Or as they're called in this game, legends. I've never extensively played a shooter where each character has their own unique abilities like CSGO, Siege, Valorant, or Rogue Company. So I not only guessed that it would be an important part of the meta for Apex that I would have a difficult time understanding, but I knew it was going to be a nuanced aspect of the game. Not just for each individual legend, but for team composition as well. Now, like I said before, I'm only a Gold player, so I haven't even begun to grasp the true depth of this system. But that doesn't stop me from giving my opinion on it, am I right? Each legend is placed into one of 5 classes that define the main role they contribute to the team based on their 3 unique abilities. Each class grants a special ability for all characters in that class. Then you get 3 abilities for each character. Passives are active at all times. Tacticals can be activated at the press of a button and have a short cooldown, still longer than what I'm used to from the Halo games. Some tacs even have limited charges before cooldown. Ultimate abilities are activated by pressing the ping it and tactical buttons simultaneously and have long cooldown times. There is quite a lot of overlap between the functions of abilities of certain characters, especially in regard to scanning and seeing through walls. But the slight differences between each ability justifies the creation of multiple characters in my opinion. For example, all the assault characters have abilities that can put pressure on players to allow for a push, but Maggie's Riot Drill won't operate under the same circumstances as Ash's Arc Snare or Fuse's Knuckle Cluster. Controller legends all have attacks that can lock an area down and excel at holding the inside of a building, but Rampart's Amp Cover seems more designed towards keeping enemies out. Catalyst's Door Reinforcement directly stops the player from coming in. Now her Grounded Trap, along with Watson's Fence, can block a player from pushing a building, but not by physical means or protection from enemy damage, but by the fear of not only taking direct damage from these traps, but also fear of getting stunned and set up for death. Caustic's Gas Trap is an amalgamation of all these tactics, because not only can you place it in front of a door to block enemies from coming in, but you can place it behind a door so that enemies begin to take damage and speed reduction as they walk in. And unlike the other traps, they can't even see the gas trap before you walk in if it's behind a wall. You can even shoot the trap to activate it and cause damage through a closed door.
She's cracked. She has nothing. I'll see you in the back. She's in the back. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Snake.
Oh my God!
Talk to me right quick. Talk to me, Snake. Talk to me, Snake. Talk to me, Snake. Talk to me, Snake. Please just talk to me. Please just talk to me right quick.
Ultimate abilities are meant to either decide or change the tide of an encounter, either via evacuation, large-scale AoE damage and area control, enemy location knowledge, increase in base stats that allow for an assault, or in 2 cases, a nifty legend-exclusive weapon. Some Legends alts only affect themselves, while others directly affect the entire team, but they are designed to benefit the team as a whole. Now, I, as a relatively new player, have only scratched the surface of understanding the concept of team composition, and I don't know how big of a deal it is in high-level play, but I can still observe the unique gameplay opportunities, strategies, and tactics afforded by choosing a specific set of Legends. In regard to individual contributions that any team comp can use, Legends with map traversal alts are important for not only evacuating a hot zone, but for rotating around the ring, securing a good spot to loot, or finding some smoke. Support Legends are damn near essential for every team, not only because they offer loot and or protection, but if you have one on your team, you have the ability to craft banners for fallen teammates at the replicator. Support and assault bins offer essential loot for the team as well. Heals and knockdown shields for the former, attachments and guns for the latter. When it comes to combinations, having multiple controller legends can turn a building into a house of horrors. Combining Lobo with a legend with a traversal alt ensures that your team will never have to worry about loot. Bangalore Smoke is the perfect territory for a Bloodhound to alt and kill all enemies in sight. And imagine the destruction that could be caused by a Bang, Fuse, and Gibby alt in the same place at the same time. From my experience, I think any team composition can be effective. It just depends on how each legend is used in tandem with each other. But I believe the importance of this concept will grow on me in the future. Currently, Apex Legends has 5 maps to offer for its BR mode. Storm Point and Broken Moon has heavy segmentation via line of sight. World's Edge and the legendary King's Canyon, the first Apex map, both have moderate segmentation via line of sight, with certain parts of each map being more open. And Olympus feels so open, it feels like it was designed specifically for. All the maps have a variety of areas with different characteristics. Lots of cover or open, inside or outside, flat or vertical, etc. that allow for different types of encounters and require each team to think about how to handle each situation. Obviously, you want to favor height because that gives you more angles for a fight. But sometimes, you might have to give up that position due to the storm arriving or another team third partying. If you have a controller legend, you may just want to rent out in a house, setting up a myriad of traps. Regarding the ring, it has a mostly predictable system where it will continue to close near one side of the map most of the time. This allows for teams to strategize on how they will rotate to stay alive, as you want to be on the dead side of the ring, the one where there's the least number of enemies and the least distance from the next ring. I used to hate this system because it meant that whenever you drop far away from the ring, you will likely be running a far distance to keep up with it for the rest of the game, while fighting hordes of enemies on the way. But its predictability adds another layer to the game for teams to strategize around. The major difference between how each map flows lies within the line of sight segmentation I talked about earlier, because the maps are a big factor in deciding how you're going to want to play for the duration of the game. Like I mentioned earlier, Olympus will likely require a marksman or sniper weapon in your arsenal, and the map will be harder to play on for controller legends, save certain spots. But it's also a haven for skirmisher legends who have tactical and or ultimate abilities that allow the individual or team to easily traverse across the map. The opposite can be said about Stormpoint and Broken Moon, both of which have heavy segmentation via rocks and buildings that impede the player from traversing long distances. But controller legends have plenty of places they can trap out and make life for their enemies a living hell. These are also the best two maps for recon legends to show off their skills, because they can reveal enemies' locations through walls. Maggie can also temporarily do this after damaging an opponent, and there are plenty of walls on Stormpoint and Broken Moon for her to drill through. Each map offers interesting dynamic elements as well, from fighting NPCs in an armory to game loot, to surviving prowlers, although to say that is a bit annoying would be a heavy understatement, to shooting down flyers to access airborne loot crates, activating platforms, deactivating traps, raiding vaults, accessing healing and alt charging stations, to just boxing it out in the old-fashioned way. Apex has got it all. Lastly, different spots on the map have varying degrees of popularity and loot, which is another factor to consider when dropping and rotating. There are places with decent to great loot, like Mirage Etoile, Geyser, and Rampart's Big Mod, with one or two teams to fight at the start. There's hot spots like Terraformer and Promenade that have a plethora of teams but decent loot to fight with. And then there's hellholes like Fragment, Stormcatcher, and the trap itself, Witten Terrace, baby, Autumn Estates, where the loot is barren, but for some godforsaken reason, the entire lobby just gravitates toward. Fun for pubs, suicide for ranked. And this is a good time to transition into the looting system. On a basic level, it functions just like in any other BR game. You find loot on the ground or in crates, and you travel across the map while trying to find whatever you need. Sometimes this can be a chore, other times this can be a breeze. It's the coin flip that comes with BR games. There's also in-game currency you can gather to use in replicators to buy items that rotate on a daily, weekly, and seasonal basis. Care package weapons are the most broken guns in the game, cannot be found on the ground, and cannot take any more ammo than initially provided. Replicator weapons also cannot be found on the ground. I think the major unique point about this game's looting system is its emphasis on attachments to guns. For every weapon except care package weapons, gold weapons, rare loot that you can find on the ground and in crates, ultimate weapons, or modded weapons from Rampart's Big Mod, you have to find a unique assortment of scopes, laser sights, barrel stabilizers, stocks, extended mags, shotgun bolts, or hop-ups, which are unique modifications for specific guns. Carrying backpacks of higher levels allow you to hold more items, and the gold backpack allows for the player to carry more big heal items in each slot. The game can get real annoying when the RNG doesn't give you a backpack for a majority of the game, making it hard to loot, but it also makes every choice that much more important. Another unique factor about the looting system is that you can see what kind of loot your comrades need, allowing for you to ping the loot when necessary. Which brings me to the pinging system. This is the most fleshed out pinging system I've ever seen in a game. Apex is a game where communication is key, but while voice communication is preferred, the ping wheel is so detailed that it makes non-verbal communication viable, even in ranked. You can indicate that you are attacking, defending, or that enemies have been in a certain area. You can ping a place to avoid, or signal that it's not an opportune time for your teammate to revive you when you're down. The game also highlights certain objects that are pinged using icons on the minimap, icons in the game world that you can hover your reticle over to see the details of, and through voice lines. This system can be used to ping loot, traversal mechanisms, open or close doors and crates, death boxes, lingering tactical and ultimate abilities, bots, IMC armories, vaults, and enemies. Directly pinging an enemy can indicate to partners when the enemy is healing or reviving their teammate. A fleshed out pinging system of this caliber amplifies the fundamental importance of teamwork in Apex Legends, and it adds much depth to the team-based gameplay. Games can be won or lost based on team decisions, and the pinging system plays a vital role in those decisions. I'd like to take a second to talk about the physics in Apex. While there aren't many dynamic objects in the game, and you can't directly splatter enemies with a trident, there are still some cool things to cover. First, melees send allies and enemies sliding a medium distance across the ground. You can use this to throw an enemy's shot off while reloading, or to punch a downed teammate to safety. Grenades send enemies sliding an even longer distance, a great way to force them out of cover. Pathfinder's grapple can be used to give you the speed of a bullet, and Wraith's portal ult can be used to kidnap enemies. There's also the ability to crush enemies using doors. Now some things can be a bit janky, like the fact you can crush either yourself or a teammate using a door, the IMC armory door, or even a trident. But other than that, I'd like to see more cool physics be added in the game. But hey, that's just the halo of me talking. The last part of gameplay I'd like to talk about is the movement. Now, it did take a pretty steep nerf from the Titanfall series, but that doesn't mean there aren't some advanced movement mechanics to learn in this game. Because there are, and when you get to high level play, they become very important to the game. Not just in combat, but in terms of traversal as well. Now, obviously, crouching and strafing in a gunfight is important. The most common technique I've seen is people starting out a close range fight in ADS, then hipfire and subsequently crouching, all while strafing at the same time. The aim assist in Apex is strong, but the slow projectile speed of all the bullets allows for zigzag sprinting to be an effective tech. You can actually slide after hitting the ground from a jump or a moderately high surface, not high enough to cause landing stun, without sprinting. You can also slide indefinitely down slopes. You can actually shift the direction of your slide to be different than the direction in which you jump toward. You can maintain the momentum of a slide for a limited time by repeatedly jumping. You can turn a 90-degree angle after taking an octane pad by slowly turning your camera. The mantling mechanic in Apex is unique, as you can not only clamber over ledges, but you can also straight up just climb walls to a moderate height. Revenant can climb walls indefinitely. The climbing mechanic actually allows for one of the most popular movement techs in Apex, the wall jump. If you sprint, slide, and jump toward a wall and hit it at the peak of the jump, you can press the jump button again to receive a second jump where you can look in the direction where you want the second jump to go toward. Mastering these movement techniques can make you nigh untouchable in gunfights, especially when you combine them with movement legends such as Octane and Pathfinder. They are a must-learn for high-level play, but that's okay, because in my opinion, Apex doesn't seem very geared towards a casual audience. It's a very difficult shooter to learn how to play, which is why it partly amazes me that it has become as popular as it is. Kinda reminds me of another game. Now that we're done talking about gameplay, let's move on to content. Now there's not a whole lot of game modes, but that's okay, given the quality of and focus on the game's BR mode. So there's social matchmaking for BR, offering duos and trios. Duos fits in surprisingly well within a game that was designed around trios, and I'm not really sure why there isn't a rank mode for it. Then there's the mixtape playlist, which rotates TDM, control, and gun run throughout the day. Apex doesn't really feel balanced around these modes, as some of the settings make certain Legends abilities pointless, but there's still dumb fun modes that let the player cool down from ranked, grind challenges, or warm up for some BR play. There are also limited time playlists that come and go throughout each season, like the Valentine's Day BR mode, the Heatwave BR mode, and sometimes a mixtape mode is shifted to the limited time modes. You can also set up private matches with a minimum of 30 people as well. There are also a boatload of cosmetics in the game, from gun, healing item, and character skins to banners, frames, badges, displayable stats, finishers, quips, loading screens, music, etc. The badges can be earned by completing certain tasks in matches, ranking up, leveling up your account, or participating in events. The ranked badges are something I will be concerned with very, very soon. But for me, the most important badges are the ones rewarded for in-game achievements, particularly the kill count badges and the damage badges, or as I refer to them as, the hammers. I recently started a gameplay series on this channel, the Hammer series, where I document my growth as a player while accumulating these hammers. Badges like these evoke an iota of the same feeling provided by medals in Halo. And if I could think of one word to describe said feeling, it would be unfreaking believable. That's right, folks. I am once again plugging the magnum opus to the P34J channel. Link in the description. And of course you have unlockable characters. Now the progression system for unlocks and the monetization isn't the best, but it is serviceable, especially for a free-to-play game. Crafting medals are only available to earn via Apex packs and event challenges, so they're pretty hard to accumulate to use on unlocking skins. It seems like the game is incentivizing the player to purchase a bunch of Apex packs to get these medals. And the same can be said for Legend unlocks. It took me at least over 400 hours of gameplay to level up my account high enough to earn enough Legend tokens to unlock all the characters. It seems like the game wants you to skip that process and buy Apex coins in order to unlock all the Legends. You know, typical live service bullshit. But it doesn't hurt as much with a free-to-play game, even if some of the skins are just recolors. I mean, at least the recolors are actually pretty fire. Now, some of these store prices are just ridiculous. I mean, you got skins going for damn near $30. And you can't choose the exact amount of Apex coins to buy. You have to choose one of the bundles, as is typical with in-game currencies these days. So you're gonna have to spend like $50. That's basically a slightly discounted game. I ain't trying to buy no damn game's worth for a skin. I just rather buy a damn game. I mean, at least Fortnite got Goku. I paid $30 for that. Honestly, after some thought, I don't like how the heirloom system works. So, heirloom shards are these extremely rare items that you can only find in one of 500 Apex packs. These shards can be used to buy mythic skins and melee weapons for select characters. The melee weapons are purely cosmetic for when your legend is unarmed. Now, don't get me wrong, I'd still be moderately hyped about it, but again, it seems like the game wants you to buy a bunch of Apex packs to get the heirloom shards. You only get one free pack per day, so you'd have to play the game every day for about a year and a half to get the shards, not counting a few battle pass and event packs. And if you spend the cheese, that's around $500 just to get the chance to get a rare skin in the game.
My ultimate's ready to go.
Where's the prestige in that? What type of story am I going to have to tell people in the future about the time I got an heirloom shard? I opened up a pack and got lucky? I wasted $500? Why not also grant some heirloom shards for specific achievements in-game? Like, maybe the 4K hammer. I mean, that might influence hackers, but that's not stopping them now, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to the old days of gaming, where you can earn most items in-game and not have to worry about RNG. While the free Battle Pass doesn't have much to offer, the Premium Battle Pass is actually pretty good, offering a variety of cosmetics. Finishing the Premium Battle Pass gives you enough Apex coins to buy the next Premium Battle Pass, so long as you don't use the coins on something else. That's a pretty big positive for me. Also, Season 17 added stat tracking for every gun used in the game, along with the ability to level guns up to earn cosmetics. Finally, there are no pay-to-win mechanics, the way it should be for every game. All in all, what Apex lacks in game modes like solos, PvP, or a campaign, it mostly makes up for in the quality of the BR mode, along with the plethora of cosmetic items. The last subject I'd like to discuss is the polish of the game, in terms of bugs and glitches. And oh boy, I've got some complaints here. I'll also have a few comments on UI, which I'm not an expert on, but can spare a few opinions on. so I can't really speak on the main menu visual UI negatively. I really don't have any complaints about it personally. It just looks like every other BR game, with squares and rectangles on the side and tabs at the top for bumper navigation. It's just that sometimes I get jumbled on using the bumpers and triggers to navigate through customization options. But maybe that's just me being a klutz. But for one, maybe don't force me to back out to the title screen to change server regions. And it's pretty annoying when I'm in a game and I press R1 to navigate through the options at the top of the backpack menu just to be met with an accidental request for a weapon because the cursor is on ballistic slingshot. Just move that thing to the side somewhere, please. Also, the looting system in this game is annoying because you have to look directly at the loot to pick it up. So if you're standing by a weapon, you're not picking it up unless you look down. And you have to be pretty accurate with the cursor as well. Precision looting, the future of shooters. And then sometimes you can double tap the button on accident and switch to the item you previously dropped. This is especially annoying when shield swapping. But now, let's talk about the bugs. Now, the in-game bugs are rare enough to not be completely deal-breaking for me, but I've seen them too often to not talk about them. Notwithstanding lag, my internet can be pretty poopy at times. I've seen a few no-regs, as well as people get shot through doors, including myself. I've been stuck in the loading screen, requiring me to restart my app. I've seen people get stuck in the replicator menu, requiring them to restart the app. The rejoin feature is clutch, but there have been quite a few times where I would rejoin the game in the same immobile state. Sometimes the game just crashes out of nowhere. And I don't know if this is a bug or bad UI, but I crafted a backpack, had my reticle directly on that bitch. It was showing me the UI, giving me information on the backpack, and it still wouldn't let me pick the damn thing up. I moved my reticle slightly to the left, still on the backpack, and for some odd, inexplicable reason, then they allowed me to pick the backpack up. That shit right there is absolutely unacceptable. Bullshit. What the? What? Why? So, all in all, I think Apex is a pretty damn good game. Definitely an addicting one. While the game might be lacking in game modes, the progression and monetization system could be better, and the bugs are moderately frequent. The quality of the BR mode stands so tall that I rarely think about the rest of the problems with the game. That's not an excuse, I'm just saying the gameplay is compelling and fleshed out enough to keep me going for those exciting 10-second loops. From the challenging to use guns, to the cool abilities for each legend, to the predictable ring map design and pinging system, everything feels like it was specifically designed for a complex, team-focused game of strategy, tactics, and skill. Apex Legends may not be the easiest game to pick up, but trust me when I tell you, once you're in there, you're in there. And that wraps up the review for Apex Legends. And that wraps up my first ever gameplay review on the P34J channel. I want to take the time to thank everyone that was curious enough to check out this review and check out the start of my journey. I want to thank everybody that's watching this video. I just want to thank you all for the support. I appreciate the time that you all put in watching this video. I just want to thank you all for being here. This is going to be a long ride. There's going to be a lot more game reviews coming your way from the P34J channel, and I hope that I am entertaining and informative enough for you all to stick around. Thank you all for seeing the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Discord, follow me on Twitch, where I stream quite frequently. I just like to thank you all. And that's it for today on the P34J channel. This is P34J. I'm getting up through. Y'all have a good one.